This case study presentation is about defamation and how defamation was brought upon two different cases. Part 1, New York Times versus Sullivan, and Part 2, Gertz versus Welch. What is defamation? Defamation is any statement or action that causes harm to the person's reputation. Defamation is usually done in two different ways. Any harmful statement that is done in writing and published is called libel. Any harming statement that is verbal is called slander. Part 1, New York Times versus Sullivan, Montgomery, Alabama, 1964. The plaintiff is L.B. Sullivan, one of the three commissioners of Montgomery, Alabama. The defendant is the New York Times Corporation, newspaper publisher of the advertisement, Hearing Their Voices. L.B. Sullivan testified that he was Commissioner of Public Affairs and his duties were supervision of police department, fire department, Department of Cemetery, and Department of Scales. On March 29, 1960, the New York Times released an article titled Hearing Their Voices, which talks about how unfairly the college students in Alabama were treated. It was alleged that the students were locked out of the dining room and starved until they stopped protesting. The ad also talks about how violators tormented Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. by bombing his home and how Montgomery police were making arrests for petty offenses that Martin Luther King committed. That ad goes in depth of the civil rights movement and criticizing the actions of the Montgomery police. Sullivan felt his reputation was ruined because he was the commissioner of the Montgomery Police Department, making him responsible for all police activity depicted in the advertisement. He said that when any police action was mentioned, it was reflected back on him. They was now Sullivan, referring to the police comments in the publishing. The element of libel defamation was the written publication in the New York Times that portrayed how irresponsible the Montgomery police were in regards to the crimes that were occurring in Alabama. Sullivan states the publication is false and is damaging his reputation with the community, causing irreplaceable rupture in relationships with other public officials, community, and protesters. The Supreme Court embraces the Constitution to delimit a state's power to award damages for libel actions brought by public officials against critics of their official conduct. In this case, proof of actual malice is applicable. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled in favor of New York Times. Sullivan was granted $500,000 of libel against the newspaper company. To prove libel, a public official must demonstrate that the newspaper acted with malice. They must acknowledge the statement is inaccurate. Part 2, Gertz versus Welch, Chicago, 1974. Elmer Gertz, petitioner, attorney representing the Nelson family in civil litigation against police officer Nucio. Robert Welch, respondent, a magazine publisher who warned his readers that a national police was being developed to support communism. Gertz was not considered a public official. He was a private person. The alleged defamatory statements made about Gertz in the American opinion referred to him as a communist frontier, Linus, an architect of a frame-up, all of which are considered liable in the defamation case. Welch did not check the accuracy of his allegations towards Gertz. The managing editors of American Opinion did not verify the accuracy of Welch's story. They trusted him. Instead, an introduction in the article was included to say that extensive research was conducted in regards to the statement about Gertz. In my opinion, these allegations affected Gertz because they discredited him as a lawyer, and it gives the readers a different opinion about who Gertz is as a lawyer and a person. This may hinder him as a lawyer, making it a financial burden on Gertz to obtain a reputable clientele. To avoid the lawsuit, I would do extensive research on the subject I am interviewing or publishing. Having the correct information will gain trust of the readers as creating substantial content for the topic. In New Jersey, the elements of defamation claims are 1. A false statement about the plaintiff. 2. Communication of the statement of a third party. 3. Fault of the defendant amounting at least to negligence and damaging suffered by the plaintiff. This case has helped me understand the importance of obtaining accurate information before publishing a story. As I continue to pursue my career in public relations, I will ensure that I monitor all media reportings by having an interview with someone who was present at the time of the reporting. I also would like to have an unbiased opinion when I conduct my research for the event or person. Having an unbiased opinion will help avoid any legal issues in creating an opinionated article. Thank you very much for viewing this video.